What motivated you to put the article in Model Railroader back in
Oh, you mean the
1990
announcement?
something?
Oh.
Yeah,
Um, well, a number of things. I'd had an interest in Civil War railroads. Everybody I spoke with said I'd be lucky to get a handful of people interested, including Wayne Weslowski, who built the Lincoln funeral train.
right.
You know, he was a great scratch builder. And, and he even said to be lucky to get a handful of people interested in it. Um, I grew up during the 60s, so there was the centennial of the
Yeah.
Civil War. I collected Civil War trading cards rather than baseball or football trading cards back then, which was kind of weird, but that's what I did.
So was there a childhood memory that first hooked you into the Civil War, or was that something that came in the like 60s during the centennial?
Just during that time period.
Yeah,
I mean, there were things like Johnny Yuma on TV
right.
and some of those old shows. Or
What was
movies.
like one of the first Civil War movies that you remember that really?
I can't remember.
Is there one that stands out now that you really resonate with?
Gettysburg.
Oh, really?
Really.
Ted Turner's Gettysburg.
Yeah. I watch that. I try to watch that every year. You know, a lot of people go out and see fireworks. My goal is to watch that once more.
That's cool.
Every year.
That's cool.
And you know, I'd actually toyed with. I started with as an adult. My wife and I played different clubs and stuff around. And one of the songs we did was Chattanooga Choo Choo. Our first Christmas together, I wanted to train around our little tiny Christmas tree. So one of the discount stores had a Chattanooga Choo Choo, and I got that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting just, you know, different buildings and structures and stuff. And as the kids are growing up, my kids.
So was it like in the 80s?
And then, yeah, it was
Yeah.
started, probably late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
And then we went from, other than something just came out at Christmas, I read some books, and one was on, you know, the advantages of narrow gauge or N gauge, because you get the tight curves and everything. And I happened to see a couple Bachmann engines at a
Oh, the 440s?
the 440s
Yeah,
at a
yeah.
Woolworths.
Oh, Woolworths.
Or
Yeah.
back when this was in West Virginia, and it just kind of like solidified. Okay, here's the. I know they were supposed to be 1869. The small engines pulling small cars. You could have tighter curves. You could have a bigger looking railroad in a smaller space.
Right. Didn't need long trains because they didn't run long
Yeah,
trains.
and back then the HO was more reliable than N scale.
Right.
A lot more reliable. And I'd had some experience with it. As a kid, I actually had a O scale set,
Right.
but my younger brother, had gotten an HO scale, because that was the scale.
up and coming, yeah.
Up and coming. And I was always jealous. I used to get him cars for Christmas and stuff. So I went, "Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna get that for him."
So you have this Bachmann 440. What were the first? I guess you probably got into the Mantua cars first, or not too much.
Yeah, there were Mantua, and I tried some of the. They said, "Oh, you know, you go to a lot of train shows and stuff, and people say, well, I have old time cars." And their idea of the old time cars were the MDC Roundhouse 36-foot cars.
Like 1880s, 1890s.
Yeah, you put them behind some of the engines. Even I ended up with a couple of Generals. They just look, you know, they are too big. Too big. And then, of course, discovered the Mantua and the Bachmann cars. I began reading more in some of the old model railroaders and stuff, and realizing, like many people do, you start with, you're getting a car, then you might want to try to repaint it, or then you begin super detailing it, shaving off the grab irons and stuff, and putting on free form stuff. And then you begin like, oh, well, it's too tall, it's too wide, and so I got a couple of cars that I really worked with to get
Right.
a more prototypically correct size. And then you get to the point where you go, it's just as easy to do this from sheets of plastic.
Right. Right.
Excuse me, or wood.
Right.
So that's what I was doing. And as you know, then we ran into Bill Wade, yeah, down when we did the show down in Kudzu,
right,
in Atlanta, and
I thought the first time we saw him was at that Timonium where we all first met together.
No, it was down in Kudzu in 2004.
BTS.
And BTS, and he wasn't doing anything then, but he saw me going through all his figures, going, this one will work, that one no, this one will work, and I explained stuff to him.
Right.
And you know, it's talked about my scratch building and all that. And then maybe it was a year later, he actually sent me a prototype to assemble to get an idea.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Well, that was the first house car, right?
Yeah, that was his first archtop house car. And yeah, he's been great supplying, but because his kits are so much easier than scratch building anything. So.
Yeah, they go together pretty quick. And he makes probably close to a dozen different Civil War cars now.
I'd say yeah. And some that could be backdated.
That's right.
To use for Civil Wars, especially if you're like doing like me, freelancing. And so as long as the basics are correct.
Right. Right.
And then you could go with some of the new 3D printing, so the trucks are just wow. And you've got the Reeboks wheel sets that's
perfect.
So they just run, so you can pull the longer trains. You know, you're well here. You know, on your layout, you were pulling some good length trains.
18 cars, yeah.
Yeah.